Hello and welcome to this video, and to one where I thought we'd talk about parenting, hence why I thought I'd come and sit in a more comfortable chair than just sitting on the floor in front of some books. So I thought, as my daughter is now just over a year, that I would reflect on what it's been like being a parent for that time. So if you clicked on this video and it's the first online you've seen, hello, I'm Faye. My daughter is just over 1, so I had her at the beginning of 2024. Let's start off by saying I still have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to parenting. I wing it all the time. I just thought, here are some things that I've noticed being a parent, and I know that when I was pregnant these were the kind of videos I liked to watch to see how people have found it. So I thought, let's make one myself. I don't really know how I'm going to structure it, so if it's a bit all over the place I apologise, but let's just sit and have a chat and reflect on the year. I have written a couple of notes on my phone just so that I don't forget things, and I've tried to make it both positive and negative with stuff. So let's start with the current big thing in our household, and that is parental preference. So by that I mean when your child has a real attachment to one parent. At the moment my daughter is 1000% a daddy's girl. We're getting better, but certainly last month she went through a phase where if she was handed to me she would scream. If daddy was in the room and she was not with daddy, she was not happy, which has been hard. So obviously I've had the year off with her. I'm part-time at work so I can spend some time with her, but having it so that just the moment she is put in my arms she cries if he's in the room doesn't do a lot for your morale or your enjoyment, I guess. Like, there were moments that were lovely, and when my husband wasn't around we had a lovely time, but as soon as he comes back she's all over it. As I said, she is getting better and she will now actively choose to come to me, which is nice, but obviously I'm occasionally hormonal and it does get me a bit upset, so there has been a few tears about it. But on the flip side, when she was little, like not newborn per se, let's say 4 months, it was the other way around. So she had a real preference from me. Certainly at bedtime she would scream the house down, because the way we had it is that my husband would come in from work, and then when it became bedtime he would take her to go and do that, because obviously he hasn't seen her all day and I've had her all day, so it gave me a chance to sit and relax, and then him a chance to have some time with our daughter. So he would take her off to bed, she would scream, I would then have to come up, calm her down, get her to sleep. So I've experienced it both sides, and it's not easy on either side. If you are the parent that they want, then obviously everything falls to you and you are very tired, and occasionally you just want to have a break. But then if you are the parent that isn't preferred, it is also not very nice, because sometimes you just want a cuddle, sometimes you just want to have some love from your child. So yeah, that one, although I think it was a thing I'd thought about, I haven't really encountered it from anyone else. No one else has really shared it as far as I'm aware. So that was definitely, and is currently, something that we have to get used to. And I know it goes in circles. There'll be a time where she's all over me again and I'll be like, come on, just go to your dad occasionally. But she needs to learn a bit of balance. So yeah, parental preference. Difficult either way round. The other thing that's been difficult is she's gone into nursery. Everybody said when we said, you know, she's going to nursery, every parent said, oh, she's going to pick up every illness. And I believed them. I thought, yeah, of course, she's got to build up an immune system, of course she is. I did not expect the amount of illness that has come our way. So she started in January. Since then we've had umpteen amount of colds, we've had 2 stomach bugs, she's had conjunctivitis, what else? I feel like there's been something else. She's had a cough that lasted like a month that kept her awake and me awake for that amount of time. Yeah, it's been rough. It's been a rough few months. Touch wood, we're coming out of it, and hopefully things will calm as we get into the warmer months. But I know, come September again, we're going to get all of those illnesses once again. But fingers crossed, we're slowing, because yeah, it's been a rough few months. It's true. I thought when people said it that we'd have an illness, we've had a break, we'd have an illness, we've had a break, but certainly for the first sort of 3 months of the year, there hasn't been a week that I can think of that we've all been well. I think at least one of us has had some sort of illness, so you got that to look forward to. So the next sort of ones that I wanted to talk about all linked together, and that is about essentially letting go of what you expect. So I'm a person, or was a person, less so, I'm getting better, that to feel like I've had a good day I have to be productive, and certainly in those first few months that was really hard because obviously I didn't really get anything done except keep a child alive, which is a massive thing. Never underestimate keeping a child alive for a day. But you sort of have to let go of that expectation of A, getting things done, B, that image that I certainly went into, that, you know, each day we'd have this fun task that we'd do and we'd get on with it. Because some days she just does not want to do it. And then other days she's like, yeah, I'm on it, let's do this. Let's learn to stand by ourselves. Let's learn to put shapes in a shape sorter. And then other days she is like, no, I'm going to just fling myself on the floor and scream. So yeah, you've just got to roll with it. She typically dictates how the day goes. So if she's in a good mood, we're all in a good mood. If she's in a bad mood, that can very much veer a day. Not having too much say in how the day goes was tricky, but I'm getting way better at it. She's also older, so that it does mean that we can get out a lot more. She's still having 2 naps, but it's easier to fit those in a day because it's such a structure now. Although I think we are veering into 1 nap territory soon. But again, that will be a set time. We know when she has a sleep, so we can work around it, which works way better than me. I work way better with a routine than, oh, she's going to go to sleep now, which obviously the beginning part is a lot of that. So very much have enjoyed having that routine back, but have accepted that the times in between, I can have a plan, but it may or may not go the way I'm hoping. It's true, sometimes it's just hard. Sometimes parenting is just hard, but it's about dusting yourself off either for that moment or that day, depending on what it is. It might just be, that was a bad moment, let's move on. Sometimes it's, that was a bad day, tomorrow's a new one. And not allowing that stuff to sort of hang over you, which is a learnt behaviour, or at least for me, I had to learn the behaviour. But sometimes then it just clicks. It just clicks. There's a moment and you just go, oh, I know what I'm doing now. And then she'll change, so then you go back to not knowing what you're doing, but it will then click again. And then you, as I said, you get yourself into a rhythm, and that rhythm really helps. One thing that also helped is trying to get out. So we have a dog, so we do need to go out because we have to walk him. But the days where we've had classes or a thing that we need to go and do help, because it means that we get out of the house. That change of scenery can also really improve her mood if she's not in a good one. It does just make life easier sometimes. One of our friends, I should say, that was her big tip for me going into it, was get out every day. And to begin with, I was like, I don't know what she's talking about. Going out, that seems really hard. How am I going to manage parenting not in the house? But I have found, and speaking to other friends with children have also agreed with me, that my child behaves better when we're not in the house. so sometimes it makes it easier. Obviously I need to remember all the stuff to take with me, but she's less likely to have meltdowns at the moment. She is only just over 1. I know they're in my future, in theory, but she's less likely to have quite the reactions to some of the things that she would if we were at home. So it can be easier to do that. I mean, some days it's just not, and there are some days where we do just stay at home because that's what I need, that's what she needs. We go with it, which again, we go with what she determines, largely. I feel, for me, that one of the big things that impacted the first year of my parenting journey is one comment that a health visitor made. So I fully respect the health visitors. I know they've got a job, but I don't feel the way that this woman worded things for us helped. So as context, when Eloise, that's my daughter, was new, although she was putting on weight, she wasn't putting on weight fast enough to keep up with her curve on the percentile thingy. So we got referred to a proper, to a health visitor appointment so that they could put us on a plan. And in that, she said that she would have to record it that Eloise was failing to thrive, which, as an impressionable first-time mum who tends to trust authority figures, and I'm not really one to disagree with authority figures, and the health visitor to me is an authority figure because they are the ones with the training, they are the ones with the knowledge. So to hear that, what's the best way of putting this? Fill me with the heebie-jeebies. Let's go with that one. So we've always had slight issues with her taking bottles since she's been on solid food. That's improved massively, but we've always had a bit of an issue of her having enough milk. And in the back of my head the whole time was this woman saying that she was failing to thrive. So it meant that that's where a lot of our conflict came, because I was trying to get her to drink milk. She didn't want the milk, and we are both stubborn. So yeah, I think if I hadn't have had that, we might have had a slightly less fraught time, because that happened when she was, I don't know, 2.5 months, maybe 3 months. And that definitely did have an impact up until probably 9-10 months for me. It's only really been recently that I've been able to relax a lot more with what she's having. That might be because she's taking milk a lot better. And if we have our bottle in a day or in a week or whatever that doesn't quite go right, I know that she's had other stuff, and I know that she's eating plenty in the other meals, because she is on 3 meals solid and she's doing really well with those. So yeah, it's only really been within the last 4 months or so that I've been able to let that comment go a bit more. It's definitely been one that's had an impact on the experience that we could have had. And I know, as I said, I know she's doing her job, but I just don't think that her terminology was helpful. And I don't think she probably realised the impact that that had on me, but on other parents as well. I'm sure it's not just me that's heard it. And there'll be those of you that heard it and it didn't make any difference to you, but for me and my personality it really did. And it did cause some friction, and a lot of worry that probably didn't need to be there, because my kid is healthy and progressing well and hitting milestones. She might not be getting any teeth. We are at like 14 months and still only have 2 teeth. She might not be getting them, but she's hitting all the other milestones as and when is expected, and she's doing really well. And that comment just doesn't matter anymore. So yeah, So to end this video on a positive note, because that's what we need, there is nothing that compares to two things. One, your child doing something new, whether that's really small, like drinking out of a cup, or learning to crawl, or the other day Eloise managed to turn her walker by herself. Like those little things, her just learning new things, just makes my day. When I see that, I'm like, oh, you're so clever. You're the best. And as I say, there are days where she learns loads and then she sort of doesn't do anything for a little while, and you go, oh, she's not doing anything, and then all of a sudden she'll show you this other new skill, or all of that kind of stuff that just happens. And it just amazes me that she was this tiny little baby and now she is this still rather small but mobile, and she's got this whole personality and all of this kind of stuff. So that will always just make me happy, seeing her learn new things. And the other thing that is a real serotonin boost is hearing her laugh. My daughter smiles a lot. She is a very happy baby. She smiles at everybody and everything, and is often commented on about how smiley she is, but to get her to laugh is a little bit more tricky. You have to work for that one a little bit more. So hearing her proper belly laugh about things, it's just such a serotonin boost, and it's a hit that I strive to get. Me and my husband both try so hard to get one of those, and when we do, it just makes us both incredibly happy. And yeah, that is how I'm going to end this video. I might even put a little clip in of her laughing just because it makes me smile so much. So I know I've rambled and I don't even know how I'm going to edit this video, because I've just gone on a real whiffly waffly way. But that being said, being a parent has been one of the hardest things I've ever done, for so many reasons, but one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. And I am just very grateful for the little family that we have. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, I hope it's been of some use to one person out there, but if you have, do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you want to see how we go along with our little family, press that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Again, you need to go backwards, Louise. Again.